Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Hang on. Oh, okay. Well, I'll get to you in just a minute. Let me get this meeting kicked off. All right. Bye. One more.
On his cell?
On his cell, you can go back to me.
Okay. Well, at least we know more
Yes.
than we did, and they're working on it.
But, you know, whatever it was like.
Hey, guys, I just want to let you know that you're 5 now.
Then, saying to Boomer,
Yeah.
what do you need if you can? And then say to Dennis and Phil.
Right.
You need to go back to the people that will feel confident in the county.
Right.
And say, this.
And we're live on the internet, people.
I think that's a much easier way of accomplishing.
Well, and that's what he said. He said, I have to do it on your side first, and then doing the other side is a whole other.
It's gone on a long time ago, wasn't it?
I did go down to school, staying on Saturday. Public service here.
Still same
Gorgeous,
thing.
you know. You have to kind of bushwhack to get to it.
Do you?
Yeah. Way trees and stuff.
Dennis, I told Philip I'm so impressed with the doors. Thumbs up to the commissioners for the doors.
Yes, it's the first time I've been in this building.
And when
in a long
somebody comes in a
time.
wheelchair to social services, it's a game changer.
And they worked pretty much seamlessly. There was a little issue with the installation and timing and all like that.
Strong color came when they were ordered.
But, I mean, since it's actually been done, I don't think there's been a problem with them.
Mm-mm.
Were y'all able to do that with CARES money or something?
No, that was.
No?
budget.
No, that was way before we ordered those, we ordered them like in March, and then when they came in, they were the wrong color. Then they tried to paint them.
I wish, you know, all this money that's been going out there for CARES money, I wish a lot of businesses had done that as part of their, what they use their money for. Put in sliding glass doors and stuff like that.
Where you don't have to touch it. Yeah.
And, I mean, that way, it's hands-free.
Church looking being a time capsule.
Well, it's putting the little airlock in there really helps.
Yeah, it sure does.
And when I came in, Dennis, laid down, there was a little boy. He was
Yeah, that's.
all right, it's a little bit after 5.
I work in the prison long enough that whenever I see doors like that, I keep waiting for one to close and lock before the other opens.
Yes.
Been there, done that. We are actually all here. Jerry is involved with the class.
Anybody ever been in there?
So we won't be able to make it, but he has done an incredible job when we get to committee reports of having great stuff for us. So, that said, the meeting will come to order. And I would like to request that we either approve or amend the August 31st meeting minutes. And if there are no amendments, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I have one addition. I thought that after the presentation, they asked us if we supported their efforts or program, and I didn't see that in the minutes. Did I miss it?
No,
We
I
we
think-
expressed support.
Yes, I think it was kind of a given, Eric,
Okay.
that we would do everything within our power to support this.
That's right. That's our group, right, not speaking for the commissioners. Okay.
Well, I'm sure, well, I can't speak for the commissioners, but no, we're speaking for our group because that's.
Right, right. Okay.
You're comfortable then, Eric?
Yep.
Would someone like to make a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Okay, I'll do that.
All right. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand, and that looks like it's unanimous. Yes, Kate? Kate? Yeah, okay.
Oh, I did it real fast.
Oh, okay, I missed it, I'm sorry.
Like an
Faster
ninja.
faster than a speeding bullet. All right. Want me to start, Melinda, and then I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Sure.
So, what we have accomplished in the last month is we got Boomer together with Dennis, and Boomer got all of the information that he needed to get from Dennis. Then Boomer had a conversation with Melinda, and I'm going to turn it over to Melinda, and she can explain what we have done as a result of that conversation.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can put up averycounty.com, the website, on that.
Are we Zoom?
You know, I don't know if that's needed so they can see kind of what we're talking about on our site. Okay, the EDC page, for instance, if you pull down EDC, that at first will be copy and pasted on the Avery County site, our site. So can you put in our site?
It's on the front page. On the home page, it should be there.
Yeah.
Are you on here?
No, go
Go to the homepage.
Go to the home
There
page.
you go.
And then it connects.
and scroll down, and
It should have Avery.
I think it's right on the page.
Chamber of Commerce, right?
Yes. Now, at first, he's gonna put and it's not on there yet. He will have a click on up there that says Economic Development. And you'll pull down and it'll be that page. But what we want and what we've told Boomer, we want a facelift on that page. So that instead of if you go back and it's just the list of names, he's gonna do a whole new facelift so that it will be more inviting with photos. For instance, like if you click on Town of Banner Elk, it'll probably have a photo there. It'll just be a new look for that whole page. Then once he does all that, he will then want to put that information on the AveryNC.gov page. But now that will determine who is operating. Who does that for you guys? Do you know?
Yes.
Yes, your site.
So we update it.
Right, but who
Internally.
is the company, which we can find out from Dennis later. To bring them together, basically, to partner what we have updated. We will then have to have a meeting with Boomer, Ken, and Dennis to get that information so it looks the same. But at least we'll start, and it'll be all updated on the Avery, since we know that's WordPress, and we will have all that new look on the averycounty.com page. So Boomer's in the process of having his team get all that to be a fresh new look. And we hope to have that click on already, but since we gave him the go-ahead to do a new look, they're working on that now. So that will have a new, fresh
And
look.
when Melinda says new look, that's what I was talking about in the previous months. That's the punch, that's what's gonna grab you as someone that has come to the site, rather than the more static what we have now, which is wonderful information, but not in a particularly user-grabbing format. And
Yeah, and then we will find out he's had us look at some other sites, the Winston-Salem Chamber, and in that area, they do a lot of the economic development work for them. We will then talk to Boomer in more detail, once we get that done, asking him, what else would you recommend?
we want to pull from his experience.
Right.
And then what he has said to me, Melinda, early on, what he will give us is kind of a menu list to say, from this list, where would you like to go? And at that point, we'll see what we've got remaining in the budget and then select from there.
Okay. And then back on averycounty.com, at least it does have, if you go back to the site, and people can automatically look, though, under the business directory. They pull down the directory, they look for all the businesses, so at least a lot of that is there. Does it take a minute? Yeah. And so then they can look up, they'll have more of a lot of that already at their fingertip, looking at
So
businesses.
they'll just intermingle.
Right.
Gotcha.
And so that's what we're.
And then,
I'm gonna ask a question, because COVID has taken what brain I had. Have we had a public hearing on the new budget for economic development? Because I can't answer that right now. Did we?
not a public hearing, no.
I don't think so.
No.
No, we have not. See, they never told us that the other day.
Okay,
We were
I'm
going
sorry.
to do it, and
Yes.
we-
Oh, okay.
Put it on the list.
There has to be public hearing before it's expenditure.
Yeah, so we can't spend any money yet.
Right.
Okay.
And that's not,
I was just sitting here going,
Public hearing has to be announced.
yeah.
because we're going to do another piece this evening that will require an expenditure, but not immediate.
The years just all run together, and I've done, okay, sorry.
Is that part of a commission meeting? And
It has to be part of a commissioners meeting, open to the public for public comment.
And then it would be on that
And
schedule.
that's a state
Can that get on the
statute.
agenda for Monday?
And I apologize to the group, because we should have done that in July.
One thing, just a comment, as you go through this, my thought would be, as these changes are made to the EDC portion, we don't want it to, not be somewhat tied into the rest of the Avery.com page. In other words, that it looks so absolutely different that it's not, has any continuity to what is on the rest of it. You see what I'm saying? I mean, when everything's good, I'm not saying don't do what we're doing. I just think we
Need to make sure it flows.
we don't need exploding monkeys here, and,
Okay.
it just, there has to be a little bit of tie-in, tone-wise, appearance-wise, with the county, don't have to match or anything, but we don't want to get too far down the pike with that. As he's doing this, it might just be something to be thinking about.
Okay. And And we'll keep that in mind. And also, Dennis, bear in mind that at some point before the expenditure is made, when our committee and EDC says this is what we're thinking of, it's gonna come to you guys
Yeah.
to say, number one, are you comfortable with what we'd like to do? And number two, if you are, will you approve the expenditure?
Well, before he does a lot of work, should we talk to him again about what we're really,
He owes me the call from today, so when he
Okay.
calls me, I will explain what Dennis is.
That's one reason I say, it's exactly what Melinda said, before he gets too far down this programming mode, I mean, I don't foresee a problem, but I'm just, you know, if he comes back, you know, just really far different, far more,
And I do, though, Dennis, think you want to keep in mind that of the whole averycounty.gov site, where you really need the most pizzazz is economic development, relative to someone that has a tax question or is seeking employment and so on. They just want information.
that's all well and good unless you're one of the other departments.
Well, but see, then think how we may be the initiator of this whole thing.
Yeah, but we can't go and redo everybody's section to match, you see, I'm trying to kind of head off a mutiny here a little bit. If you-
well,
you know.
now, you could, and it could be where we leave
This,
this right the way it is here, and just have it updated looking on Avery Chamber,
and I'll tell you why that makes sense.
and not do anything there.
If I get my number wrong, Melinda, correct me. She's getting 9,000 hits a month, and we're getting between 25 and 50. That may, in fact, Dennis, be the best compromise of all.
Well, I mean, and I'm not asking, you know, and I certainly don't want to diminish one for the other, but I just, my caution would be in thinking about this is, you know, we looking at it as the county as a whole, if we really plaster this and have this grand thing, then we possibly could, set a precedent for other working committees or working groups or departments that said we'd like to have an update there, and then we get into some
Yeah.
real expense.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm just, that's what I was kind of,
And this would be an option. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll.
I think if we can just marry the two things, get them to,
or if it works out better that way, then that's fine, but, I
Yeah.
don't wanna
Yeah.
squash the feeling, but, you know,
No, and you make a good point, Dennis, and I think what
Yeah.
Melinda's saying is, great idea. If this was, wow, everybody thinks it looks great, but we could then put it on the chamber site with all the glitz and bells and whistles. Keep ours the way it is and add to ours those sections that he feels from economic development are missing, but in a similar format.
Yeah. And he
You
can't
have
do
that option.
anything, and what he kept saying, I can't, he said, now Dennis has given me permission to copy and paste that information on the chamber site. But he said, I can't go back, because I don't have any way to do it on their site, do anything.
yeah.
Unless I were to, get with Dennis, find out who it is, blah, blah, blah. He said, but that, at least now I can make changes to what it looks like on Avery County, the chamber.
And the other thing, Dennis, too, is when we said that we wanted to have the economic development added to the county site, that was not something that Dennis could do. He had to go back to whoever built your site originally and say, add this too. Now, once it got added, now Dennis can edit it but he had to go back and say, you need to do this, because that's not within the scope of our ability here.
It's not just the money, it's listening to everybody fuss.
Well, I won't start that comment, but I will.
I did. It's not just about money.
All right, now, in the same vein, I attended a webinar last Thursday that was sponsored by Golden Leaf. And they've partnered with a company that's taking a whole new approach to economic development, which is geo-targeting. And in essence, what I learned is it's kind of reversing the process. Instead of having an individual or a business or a company coming to your site to look at what you have to offer, you can set this up so your information goes into targeted geographic areas. Supposedly, in the course of this week, they're going to make that webinar available. They're going to send it to me, and then I can share it with you. And if we sign up between now and the end of the year, we get 6 months free, and we can back out if we don't like it. So it's something else that we may want to consider as we're going along here, because I like the 6 months free plan.
Who does this, who does this come from?
Golden Leaf. Melinda, do we have more to add?
I don't think so.
Okay. And Philip, just confirm for me that we got the attorney go-ahead for the pool, right? Because it's on our site.
Right there. There it is.
Yeah, it's already on there.
It's on our site, I just wanted to make sure that we're...
Thank you. But it's on our site.
Okay. All right.
Check.
It's been a while.
Kate, anything new on Main Street America?
No, nothing new, but I will, back to the geo-targeting, I use geo-fencing, and I'll like go to Raleigh and fence around the REI store, and then send ads for Beach Mountain to people that are shopping for like camping equipment, fishing equipment, stuff like that in the
You're
store.
familiar with the concept.
So, yeah, it works very well.
And I mean, what they were talking, you could do this by zip code, you could do it by city or state. You can actually take, for example, what you're talking about, you could take Raleigh, and you could physically take your cursor and draw a circle around it and say, that's the area that we want to encompass, or just say, we want a 10-mile radius.
You could circle a traffic jam in Raleigh at 5:15 on a day when it's 100 degrees.
I was looking at the Airbnb statistics this week, and last one I saw is of the high country area, 62% of the people that book within 300 miles. So there's a lot of, like we were talking a couple weeks ago about, a lot of the homes, people are coming, they're not just seasonal, they're long weekend, things like that. More and more folks coming up are close by who are wanting to get away for an X period of time and not fly, not go to an airport, not spend 6 hours driving, and so I think that's one of the things that's driving that statistic, the very thing we were talking about.
And I can tell you, Dennis, from the standpoint of Land Harbor, end of 2019, because our demographics are changing, it's 3 hours. The people that are thinking about buying up here for a weekend retreat want to be within 3 hours driving time. And we saw that being, so I can say, we actually saw it relative to our community. So you're right on. Okay. Retaining employees workshop will be obviously for another day. Philip, updates?
So, I know we touched last time on house sales, but August stayed up there with July, so you had 144 condo and home sales in our county for the month of August. That was up from 88 the year before. So that was good news, and we have used that as a powering tool with some of the folks talking to us about the shopping center, number 1, and other needs in the county, number 2 and 3. So the GREAT grant is now open, $32 million for broadband expansion. So it is out there. Forwarded the email to all our providers in the county. They have to apply. It has to be an internet service provider that applies for the grant. It is now open. Remember, the restriction a year ago was it has to be a Tier 1 county. Well, now it can be a Tier 2 and a Tier 3 county that has census pockets that are determined to be rural. So they opened it up to those 3 entities. So we are now eligible to go after the money, and the grant is open to the 14th, and I've just gotten a phone call right now from Skyline Skybest, so I'm hoping that they're got some questions on what else to put in that application for the 14th.
Say the name of it again, please.
It's the GREAT grant. And they've had it before, but it was only available to Tier 1 counties. So this year, it's finally opened to us.
And what's the purpose of it and the
To
restriction?
expand broadband.
So it's only to install more landlines, they can't do it for other stuff.
Right.
So it would basically spread the,
Spread the broadband, make it affordable for companies to expand into rural areas. You know, where you get, you know, they're like, well, it's not profitable for us to take this 3 miles because there's only 6 homes. Well, this kind of offsets some of that upfront cost.
it's.
So it will, yes. Some news, from sales tax, just because I find this fascinating with COVID and I was concerned about what was going to happen in our county. So the end of the year quarter, which is what happened out in Avery County in February, March, and April, that just came in. That would be our end of the year, ends in July. Avery County for that quarter was up 3.93%, so that's a blessing. Ashe County did beat us at 6. Watauga was only down 0.5 point, which Darren could not believe it. With the college kids, you know, that went home, he was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't even 1%, it was 0.5 percentage point. But just to put that in perspective, your bigger places like Buncombe County saw a 12% decrease, and Mecklenburg County saw a 10% decrease in sales tax for those same months. So you kind of see what the COVID kind of had in relation with that. I passed out I just got this press release like at 4:30. Fight Hunger Incorporated is to open a unique food pantry in Avery County. They will begin distributing and preparing meals for 10 less fortunate or food-deprived Avery County families on October 12th. And there is a phone number there to call if you know anyone that needs assistance. So I've forwarded this to the school system already for the counselors and for social services downstairs. So this could be a big game changer. This company is out of Winston-Salem. So I did not know this was coming down the pipe at all.
Vacation though is in Winston-Salem. They don't do any cooking and freezing here, right?
Right, I don't know, yeah. Yeah, reading this, plans to open its first food pantry distribution center. I'm not sure where that will be or how that will operate. So I may reach out to them tomorrow and see if we can find out a little bit more about that company. So talk about the grants. And just let everybody know, you know, we're trying with businesses and hotels and bed and breakfasts and grocery chains and real estate. And people are talking, but it's talk. So, all righty. That's all I have, Kim.
Dave, do you have anything you wanted to add?
No, pretty much just what he's got. I
We're
talked
talking, aren't we, Dave?
I talked to Greg Green yesterday, and he might have somebody, but he doesn't know for sure. My people are still interested in buying it, but until we get something in there, so.
All right, I don't have anything. Do you know, Philip, when the county's gonna put the ad in the paper for the EDC opening?
So Jesse's,
Jesse is officially retired as of last month.
okay. So it's Jesse's seat. We will run that ad.
And
So we gotta run the ad, take the applications, and then vote the following meeting. Okay.
Susan has made some suggestions. I've come up with a couple of, I've asked, I asked a couple of people, as did Melinda, and unfortunately, I think we got a universal answer. Would really consider it, but I'm so busy, it's not something that I'd be willing to undertake. So,
Understandable.
so we're gonna keep going in that direction. Everybody is familiar with this, and it is now time of the year that we've got to start considering. If you look at page number 7 at the bottom, that's our half-page ad. I think for this evening, the question is, do we want to just simply stay with what we put in last year, or do we want to consider something new? And it's $4.95, same price as last year for this half-page ad.
And it'll print in January for for a whole year.
And when you consider how many people take one of these and the distribution of these for $495, it's probably one of the best bargains going.
And we've done real well. I talked to our distributor, and the number of guys, our print media stuff has gone better than ever, surprisingly, because you'd think that people weren't picking up print, but they are, because it's all their communication piece. So the hits are better on the website, and of course that's what people are doing too, but at all the festivals and at the chamber, a lot of, in particular, certain things, camping and stuff like that, but the guide has done still extremely well. We won't know the exact number we'll print until the end of December, because we're waiting. Then we'll see what's left. But,
And just as a reminder, look at the front, business and visitor guide, so.
we'll have a whole new look, you know.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
but you will continue to keep
Yes,
the
I keep
business
that,
and visitor
yes.
guide, which I think really hits both markets.
I do like the ad that we've got in there right now. I think it has a sense of peace and safety and tranquility, and those are buzzwords right now.
And the other buzzword is stay for a lifetime.
When is that?
The migration
When
is
do we-
underway.
It is,
So
absolutely.
it starts over in January,
Mhm.
so we've got
And I need to know by November 15
okay.
is if we want a new one.
Okay.
And if we need to find other photos and pop them in there, didn't Frank get us that
Yeah.
photo last time? So we can redo it if we need to redo it.
Well, looking at our two professionals here, I'm with you, Kate. I think it's a great,
It's a beautiful photo.
Great photo.
if there's some consensus on that, I would entertain a motion that we take another half-page ad in the next edition and continue with the same ad that we used in 2020.
So moved.
I'll
Is there a
second that.
Okay. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. I gotta watch Kate real quick.
Like a ninja.
Okay. Eric, are you going to not? I didn't
Is that a
see you.
no?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
in.
Okay, so then it is unanimous.
He was just like a ninja, wasn't it?
Okay, I'll put that in the,
Okay, as I said, and we want to give a lot of time, because Eric has a very nice report to give, but what I've handed out is from Jerry, who I said is in the course of getting a class this afternoon and evening. He's hitting on the Kill and Chill Operation Grant.
We had a Zoom meeting on that today with some other counties. No, there wasn't a lot of participation, just 3 counties. So we got and the Golden Grant, staff was part of and they asked a lot of tough questions. So we'll keep working on it.
And there'll be another meeting coming up on Friday, which I guess I'll be attending. And I think the reality, Philip agreed with me or not, that Golden Leaf, from the standpoint of big budget grant people, they're really number one.
Yeah.
And
But you've got to meet the criteria that they're looking for economic development wise.
economic
So,
development.
and this is kind of a public-private government idea, so there's going to be a lot of questions.
But I think from when you think of our last meeting and the 3 gentlemen that presented, what a boom this would be to this high country, 3-county, maybe 4-county agricultural.
I think it's expanded to 7, 8 counties.
And I would think too, when you had people that might be interested in going into some kind of beef production and say, what's the point? If I've got something that I want to send to slaughter, I'm lucky if I can get it done now next May. They may be saying, hey, if we had this, I'd start raising some beef.
Right.
Or I'd start raising some sheep, or whatever.
One of the tough questions is 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, did that investment do what?
And what you see
You know,
here.
how do we prove that that's going to happen? So, yeah.
Here's the presentation that was done similar in 2016, and he's just sharing that with us. Nice piece of work.
Does Golden Leaf still have all the stipulations about there being the economic need based upon the loss of tobacco? That was a real major criteria at one time.
That's probably,
Because that was where the money came from
right,
anyway.
right, that's where the money came from. So, this is just, as long as it's tough to define. I mean, it's a narrow gap you've got to get through to get the money.
Right.
I mean, they narrow it down
Very
a whole
much.
lot, and it's complicated.
I mean, I just asked the
Yeah,
question
I
because
mean-
there were certain areas of Avery County that were tobacco,
Mhm.
had tobacco,
Mhm.
but not all areas of Avery County. But so if they still had those kind of stipulations in there, you would have to be able to show that
Show
as a.
I
as
think
a
now,
need.
as long as we can show that it's a economic development type, that's gonna be part of that narrowing.
Okay.
And Philip, if I may, Philip asked me to attend a Golden Leaf kickoff program earlier this year. And I think, Clayton, to answer your question, I did not hear anything in all of the presenters talking about tobacco
Okay.
or.
Well, I mean, that's great, I mean,
Right.
but within the last 10 years,
That's
There
changed.
that was a significant thing. Anybody who was applying for any money through Golden Leaf had to show a connection with tobacco.
I think that's,
And the loss of tobacco income.
It was further back than 10 years.
Was it further back in, okay, time flies.
what I was hearing, Clayton, was economic need, inability to provide at a county or private level, okay? And the biggest community or county benefit that could be derived, that seemed to be what was driving their board of directors relative to granting those grants. And when I sat there, and I thought, gee, boy, I think Avery County would, kind of move up because we'd meet a lot of that criteria. We'll see. Okay.
Okay, well, I mean, great, I mean, they got a huge pot of money.
We're about
Yeah.
60 years out from that impact
They have,
here.
and there's opportunity out there for nonprofits. If any of y'all have a nonprofit, there's opportunity out there, but like I said, they really narrow that path that you have to walk. It's like you gotta walk a tightrope to get to the funds.
And it has to be the county that is submitting the grant application.
No, it has to be the county that endorses. Just a letter of, 5 projects from each county can be accepted, but they gotta have an endorsement from the Board of Commissioners.
And
So
they-
that it's gonna kinda be the first come, first serve.
And you're the person they want to work with, remember?
I'm the person you wanna call
The
and
county
then,
managers are their initial contact.
yes.
Anything more on agriculture? If not, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Eric.
Okay. I want to close out on these, the residential housing and the recreation tourism. I only did research on the rental stuff, and there were some things that really amazed me about Avery County. I mean, there are 10,000 units of rental or vacation homes here. And there are like 4,000, almost of them are long-term rentals, so I guess those are people that are here. Other things was that only 30% of the dwellings here are owner-occupied. So there's this mass of housing where either they're rented or vacation property. The people that own houses here seem to own them for a long time. There was like 20-year average or something. So that was something that discovered too. I looked at it a little cursory from a business standpoint, and it seems like if new rental housing is going to be built, and the cost of building rental housing, you just for 1,000 square foot, which is a very small apartment, people need to make about $30K a year, and if there's a family housing like 1,500 to 2,000, they need to make 45 to 55 as a family income. So there's probably something that these developers, and maybe Dave knows more, that they look at, and there is not a business plan that can happen here. And then it comes down to where low-cost housing, there's always subsidies, tax break. There need to be some incentives or reassurances or something for people to build. There's probably enough land available, there's probably, maybe there's not infrastructure to support a lot of large-scale housing. I don't know, maybe Newland has water and maybe Banner Elk too. So, that there are not those restrictions. I think it's just financial, and I don't know where to take it and what to do, except for that's what I found out. Does that make sense? Okay. So that I did without input from anyone. However, when I looked at the tourism and recreation, I talked to everything from stopping a waiter in a restaurant and asking, hey, where, you work here, where do you live? And what do you feel about Avery County? And, you know, the waiters work here and live in Boone and things like that. And then I talked to the business people, like rental agencies, and spend a lot of time talking to the people at Sugar because I know them. Actually, I skied there when they opened in '67. And I got the feeling they were very polite, but when we said, what can Avery County do for you? Is there, and they basically said, they didn't say it directly, but we know our business best. So, and that drifted over to the occupancy tax, that whatever, like Sugar and I assume Beach, everybody wants to keep that themselves because they know what to do with it. And there was no appetite for adding something on for Avery County, like for us to do some stuff, because then it went back to that they know better what to do than we do. Now, on the positive side, when we talked about promotion, the chamber got a lot of accolades, and just, that's great. Keep doing it, promote Avery County, that helps us, we'll be part of it. But as they sensed that I came from the government, you know, local government, and, you know, it's like government stay out of my business sort of thing that I got a feeling from. So, but there were, in the informal conversations, other things came up about, this is a great place to be, and I heard you talking, Dennis, about all the, you know, the climate we got that's going for us that's different. Nature, everything from Appalachian Trail, Blue Ridge, the state parks, and, you know, we also have a low crime rate. I don't lock my house, so. And education seems to be accepted as being good up here, both Mainland and high school. People said, well, this is a great location, and, you know, for vacation homes, and come up here and do stuff, because we're not too far from Charlotte and Winston-Salem, Greensboro, that whole Piedmont, so they think that we got going for us. Now, on the flip side of that, of course, traffic. They don't think that based on all the attractive stuff we have here, traffic is not commensurate with what we have. It's sort of like we got this good place, but it's hard to get to. Like the Winston-Salem people, they can blow into West Jefferson and that area, no problem. But you got to fight, they said, you know, fight their way up.
Then,
Castle, you know, it's like a traffic jam. We talked about, you know, Raleigh and other places, but that's a difficult. The one thing that Sugar said was, you know, when everybody comes out of Sugar, they get frustrated because they can't get out. So they said, if there's anything you can do quickly, traffic light there. Don't have to be on all the time, but just be on there. So that was good for the tourism part. The other thing, and this is more my personal opinion, and that is when we attract people here that come from other places, there's been an expectation created from being in, you know, Wake County or Mecklenburg and these, and the suburbs of there. There are a lot of amenities for families and kids. We got the pool, great. We got the Y, great. There are probably other things that they like to see. I was gonna take my grandkids to shoot baskets, and I couldn't find an outside basketball court. Maybe I didn't look hard enough. Other people that come, and we beat this to death, but internet came up all the time. There was one family that I talked to in Linville, where they have a house there, and during the COVID, they came up. Of course, they had internet, but that became a discussion subject. We talked about roads and traffic. Ideas that come to mind, what I think people expect here. There are no soccer fields. You know, that young family that might move up here from one of those suburbia places, the kids play soccer. I don't know if we have a soccer field here, a county soccer field. The basketball courts, we have some tennis courts, now we have the pool, so there are some of those things that we have. But we need to think about those sort of things. One idea that came up, and in an informal conversation I talked to Philip about it, people are getting into bicycling a lot. Sometimes it's almost like Europe, you know. There they use it for transportation, here for recreation. But with the road structure that we have, my son-in-law is a biker, and he gets out on these small roads, and I am scared every time he goes out. And in many places, they convert old railroad tracks to bike paths and stuff. And I looked up, and you know, we got Twitsy Railroad, and I don't know, I haven't found where the old tracks are, but in other places they convert them, and that doesn't cost all that much. You know, it's leveled. I know that it washed out in places, but if we have ideas on how to make it the amenities for recreation for these new families that we want to come here and their expectations, I think we need to think about stuff like that. Another thing came up in some informal discussions, and that is we have sort of two kind of environment. When you drive up towards Tynecastle and you have Grandfather on one side and Linville on the other, that road is groomed, there is no litter, it looks nice, you feel like you're on a parkway. And in some places you go and there is trash and it's unkept, and you know, it doesn't feel like we're a tourist recreational area. It's a dichotomy, the nature and all the beauty that we have, and then to get to that state park or get to that place, you got to go through sort of like an area that doesn't make you feel like there is the right aesthetics. And I think that some of these, they didn't come out outright, but Sugar, I think they created their own town in order to control how it looks and feels. And I have a feeling that beach, I drove through from Watauga Lake and all the way up through the new paved road, which was nice, and by the new rec center. It looks and feels different. So we have, and we get to this split that we seem to develop in the United States now, that we have one part that is different than the other part. And I would like, obviously I like to see us pay more attention to the other part. And I showed in this discussion with Phil, just 3 miles within my house, you see stuff like this along the road. I can't understand how we can allow this kind of thing. And they're coming up to go to tonight, and it's not just that. There is, this place right close to where,
That's at Land Harbor.
at Land, and you have
Land Harbor's beautiful.
this great entrance to Land Harbor and 100 yards down the road. And there are places, and I'm sure we all see this, the trailer, and they keep stuff, and, tourists that come up, they notice this, I'm quite sure.
Did you get Granny Teaster's place photographed in there?
Teachers doesn't bat around.
And I don't know
And you brought up a good point. Can I stop right there? I wanna ask Kate a question. Who does the litter sweep at beach? Is there litter? There's gotta be litter with all those skiers.
We
Who
have
does
quite
the
a
litter
bit of
sweep?
litter. A couple of times a year, we do it. And
The
I walk up,
chamber,
no, just us as humans. We,
okay.
it used to be that the chamber
And
organized.
the only reason that Linville is kept clean is because grandfather does one side and Linville Ridge does the other side. They weed eat.
The town is very, very particular about it, and we hired extra crews, not just for trash, but for limbs and leaves and branches and gutters that.
So you bring them in like 2 or 3 times a year
Yeah, so.
and do a litter sweep.
And this thing now that you get beach, you get sugar, you get the others, and they do their thing because that's what people want. So why doesn't, I assume that people want the same thing for the rest of the county, and we gotta do
Well,
it. And-
Philip picks up at his house, and mows the roads. There's sections, but, it's the state's responsibility to pick up the litter, and it's not happening because of the change with the government. So,
And
I
then
mean-
if it's not picked up, and then somebody gets the idea that they're gonna mow it, and then it gets even worse
Yeah.
when they run over it.
Philip, I will say, if you're in Banner Elk and you go past Mayland on your left and keep going out.
Malin, oh, wait a minute.
No, Lee's McCray.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Lee's McCray on your left, and you keep going out, so you'll eventually come out on, I think it's 19E. That has signs that says it's a North Carolina scenic byway. And my wife and I traveled that in April, and it was literally as though there was a garbage truck with a side chute that drove down the road.
Mm.
But we were there again, I'm gonna say in June, and it had been picked up. So, whichever agency, and I assume. it was the state,
Department of Transportation.
they must have picked up a whole trucks and trucks because it was just incredible.
Well, one thing I'll share with you, a cool thing that Old Hampton Store does, that's where my husband is. Old Hampton Store has, just about every spring, a cleanup day. If you'll come and volunteer and pick up trash, and they go up Ruffin Road and the Linville River area, where they're putting the new bridge in and out, all along there, we'll feed you lunch if you'll come and volunteer to pick up trash. And they have several people that will show up, probably 15, 20 folks. I'm here to help clean up, I've got a day.
That is a great idea, because a lot of times then that business can put up a sign saying cleared by.
Well,
And that's at least, and it's off the main roads, but we talked about this, Melinda's part of we got a transportation committee that meets for our district, we're District 11, and we meet, Kate goes, and, Wilkesboro was trying, because they used to have the DOT had a partnership with the, prison system, that the prisoners would pick up the trash. And it was costing X amount of dollars, so someone said, oh, we could save money if we bid this out. So the General Assembly bid out the job across the whole state to pick up the trash. And then they found out, oh, this is not cost effective to bid out the trash. So, hey, Department of Prisons, again, will you come back and pick up the trash? And they're like, no, because we sold all of our equipment, we've moved people, so we're not interested. So that's why it's, right now, it's worse than it's ever been.
Masonic Lodge, does the section from Times Square Diner to the state line, 3 times a year. And, keeps that section on both sides of the road pretty well done and everything. But it's I mean, 3 times a year, I mean, it's amazing what builds up between every 4 months, you know? It would be a full-time job, literally, to keep it up.
I travel a certain road every day, and the DOT picked it up twice already, and it's a disaster again. And Melinda's tried to help.
Yeah.
We tried to come up with an
Well,
idea.
We tried the whole time to get something
Go on
going
and
and
try.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it, it's
going
on,
safe to,
I mean, I don't know if there could be any kind of, push to get different groups or organizations or whatever it is to pick up a mile of road.
Yeah,
That's all they're asking is you take a mile.
and you've got to be careful, because there was someone got run over in Wilkes County.
But you have to wear, you know, you're expected to wear the, chartreuse vest, and they provide, the DOT provides the
DOT will
bags and
provide the
all that
bags,
stuff
yes.
and everything. But, you know, a mile, we've got a lot of miles of road in Henry County. And they're only interested in the primary roads too. They're not talking about the secondary or side roads.
how do we go after the root cause though? Now we're treating the symptom. So now is there a promotion?
Caused by a change of attitude.
Right.
I mean, I haven't thrown anything out of a car window since I was 8 years old. I learned early. I learned early. But, you know, that's not, you know, it's an attitude thing, you know, what is important? You know, what is important to you? And you don't have to be a tree hugger to not want to be a liverer. You know, that they don't necessarily have to go hand in hand.
But I mean, there is a cause and effect. I mean, the construction worker that doesn't take care of what he has on the back of the pickup, and they flies out.
Now that is, technically, if it's got material that's loose, it's supposed to be covered.
Right.
Am I right?
Right.
Right.
And if
So, I
there's,
mean, that can.
and I picked up a bag the other day. I turned around, coming to work. I was late because I turned around, put my flashers on, because there was a bag in the road, and I thought, if I wait till this afternoon, that will be run over 45 times.
Right.
You know? And we do go through it, and if we can identify some envelopes, we'll call.
Point being, if some promotional activity that you could turn it around, like if there's going to be more business for you as a construction worker if you take care of the county because more people come here to build houses. That's a long stretch of reasoning and logic, but there is something inherent that, and I don't know how to communicate that, but.
Why do we not have people that are sentenced to community service picking up trash?
Because if we got run over, it would be, and you want to see what I get for community service, I'll call you the next time. Okay? I can't even give them a broom. I mean.
We need better quality people doing community
We
service.
do.
Yeah.
That's an idea.
It is an idea.
we can get in
And
trouble.
the other idea is the state's got to step up and get this done, and this was brought up, time and time again. The mowing was horrendous this year,
It was.
and the trash pickup, and I don't care if you go to the interstate, go down to Interstate 40, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's not just us, it's everywhere.
Whole state.
Well, let me ask you a question, if I may. If you take an old abandoned mobile home, now I know we can have Tommy
Condemn it.
condemn it, but what if the county and the county employees or whatever take it and sell it for scrap? There's a lot of steel in that stuff and metal in that stuff. and even copper, as expensive as that is, and see what it's worth, you know, and almost pay for itself.
And I don't know that y'all, but our solid waste department will take a can to your property, home, and leave it for you for 70 days for free, and not ask any questions if you agree to clean up your place and use it for those 7 days. Just to try to get people to.
But I mean, I think Eric's got a big point. Some of this stuff, I think
I think that particular home people live in.
yeah, but I mean, as members on some of these mobiles, we just need to get them out of there. And I don't know how we can go about doing that, but I'll bet you can make, you know, get some reimbursement on the scrap stuff.
On the scrap metal.
You know, 'cause there's a lot of steel and a lot of aluminum in that stuff.
You know, and you know, people will let a business close, and I mean, the Banner Rail Hospital is a prime example.
Yeah.
You know, it's how much longer, you know, luckily you got the trees up there right now, and those maples have really grown, but they're gonna fall to the ground here soon, and there we're gonna be.
Yeah.
I thought something was gonna happen with that.
On paper, it was.
Okay.
So it didn't go through? Really?
Oh.
Interesting.
Are they paying taxes still?
Yeah. But what, an abandoned building that has asbestos in it, the land's worth a whole lot.
Can you not
They pay their
compensate?
taxes.
You guys are too nice as a local government here with this, but it's the,
And there, you know, there's,
Okay.
I mean, but is it fair to ask the taxpayers to pay to clean that up?
no, but if you take the property and ownership of the property because they've defaulted on their obligations toward the community.
According to what, I don't know what, you know, what's the obligation?
To keep it safe and, you know, fit within zoning laws of, you know, you can't leave dilapidated building around.
And then there's so many places around that people just don't have the money.
Well,
It costs money to keep your place, you know?
but it has value, right? So and
But you know, speaking of that, if we've got 10,000 rental homes, we need to bring in that occupancy tax.
Yes, you do.
And we need to
Yes,
put that
you
money
do.
to work for us.
And a lot of those are getting
You
taxed, I mean.
go around Sugar Mountain, and you go around Beach Mountain, and you go around Banner Elk, just like what Tigard County did, and you will pull in money just like what Tigard County did. Those places still do their own thing, and then you get
Yeah,
all the
li-
rest of that money.
Yeah.
leave the townships
I mean,
alone.
even if we just
Yeah.
put that money aside for exactly what we're talking about, that could clean us up in no time.
It could. That is tourism related,
Yeah.
and there's the money to pay for it right there.
So litter sweeps could be tourism related.
If that's what
Oh,
you
yeah.
need to appeal to tourists, that's what it could be.
Kate, you wanna quote your figures that you gave us from last month?
Last month, it was 93,000, this month, it's gonna be about 100,000. And so I've already made half of my annual budget out of the
Okay, Mom.
first 2 periods of this year.
We're giving away a lot of money right there.
But there, I will throw a wrench in this discussion to a degree in terms of buildings and ownership and properties and things. It'll be a long time before the county, at least with the current board and before the county gets into seizing and control of private property. It will be a long, long time.
And the reason for that would be,
Because I don't want somebody to come tell me what I can do with mine,
There is a,
and I'm gonna tell you what
But
you can
it-
do with yours.
yeah, and I understand
I
that's
mean,
a very,
somebody might not want cattle next to them, somebody might not want Christmas trees next to them, somebody might not want chickens next to them. But that's what's been there, and that's how that family has survived.
It's a rabbit hole
And
where you
we're
have
not
room to go
hurting,
with it,
because look
you
at
know?
our sales tax and look at the rentals and look at the house sales.
Would it
They're
be,
coming.
would it be a political, suicide to do something like that, or?
Oh, he's gonna be elected again.
Yeah.
I think it goes
Yeah.
beyond being a political suicide. Yes,
Oh, it
it'd be political suicide for anybody who would be in the current, seats making those kind of rulings. But you're also dealing with you're talking about an innate mental attitude of the people of the mountains. I mean, you're not just talking about people who don't take care of property, but it's like, this is mine, you stay away.
Yeah,
This
and
doesn't
define
belong
not
to me.
taking care.
You're defiling them by that type of
Well,
thing.
it'd be a betrayal of the trust.
Absolutely.
Right,
Yeah.
but that, you know, this is the crux now that
Now, I'll
we're
give you another one,
facing.
Eric. If I lived in Houston, Texas, one of the largest cities in the state of Texas, one of the largest cities in the United States, it is wide open. If I live in a neighborhood and I want to put chickens and goats and everything in my yard next to a $1.5 million home, that's perfectly all right. There's no problem with that because there are no restrictions in the entire city of Houston, Texas.
So that's the Texas culture, which is similar.
And that's very much so, and I was born there, so I know Texas too.
But then we face the dilemma here, and I sort of talked about the people in the Wake County, the Piedmont, et cetera, that are looking at.
And they're moving out of those
coming here
places because
and
of that.
rejuvenate our county here, and so then we have the dilemma of their expectations, and I'm somewhat part of that. I try to respect the local culture, but, you know, there are part of culture that probably should be adjusted, and then the question comes, how do you do that in a diplomatic way? Because these expectations, if we want to be an extension of suburbia, away from suburbia, we have those expectations.
Well, I think people are moving out of I think the sales increase and all these people moving out of the cities is because of some of that.
And look at Avery County home sales in the last 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I agree with you, Eric, in some respects. I personally,
I think that's part of the difference, though. I think the last 3 months has been because there's a multitude of different reasons, you know. But I think, I'm not really looking at, and maybe you guys went way over my head, I don't know. But I'm not looking at buying, you know, the Banner Elk Hospital or any of that kind of stuff. But I think if we had an entity like the occupancy tax, that we could say, okay, we're gonna put this fund right here, and we're gonna use it for special things. You know, if a trailer or something like that, you know, that could go in, whether we bought it from them, and we had an outside entity that come in and bought it, and then they turned around and took that trailer out of there, improved that property, turned around and sold it, put the money back in the coffers. You know, I don't see where that would be a bad thing.
Along those lines, when I took over on Beach Mountain, I started a little grant process, and we let people tell us what they wanted to do, and we started getting requests for beautification, and it was really essentially facade grants. It's whatever your front-facing area of your business is, to improve that, and it has made a big difference.
Yeah, because there's a city that I've seen, and I can't remember where it's at now, but their local government went in and bought old rundown apartment complexes, went in there, completely did it, and cleaned up their city. Now, how can they do that and we can't?
See, I have no trouble with that type of actions.
Voluntary.
I have trouble with forcibly taking or over something. If you wanna go in and give somebody a fair price
Kannapolis, I think it's.
for that type of
I think
thing,
so,
I have
too.
no problem with that.
Yeah, I'm not talking about, taking
Yeah.
it away from somebody, but if we went in and bought it, cleaned it up, there's money out there to
And,
do it.
and Kate's idea of this tax, the commissioners disregard these little entities within the county and work around the county, because there's a lot of this rental property outside Banner Elk, outside Sugar Mountain, outside Beech Mountain.
Most of it is
Most of it's
outside.
outside.
And the other thing, you're not gonna take that away from the owner,
Yes.
because the owner's just gonna tack that on,
Exactly.
And
you know?
the person that's doing the rental
They're not-
can't believe that there's an
nothing
occupancy
there.
there. They can't believe it.
I mean, if I
No matter
go,
where you go, there's an occupancy.
if I go down to Myrtle Beach or Hilton Head for a week, and I rent the property that I'm staying in, I will pay let's say I get the place for, I'm gonna round it off, say $100 a night. Well, by the time they add on taxes and everything, local and all this kind of stuff, I'm gonna pay $145 a night.
We're renting a house in Sky Valley, which is over in Georgia, for 9 days, and you can't imagine the list of extras.
I mean, I have no,
That you're paying.
yeah, I mean, I've.
So everybody's
I've had
expecting
questions
it.
Forever too, but
You know?
but I do know why we don't have them.
All right, well, we can't, it's not up to us, and it is headed for 6:15. I have one question for feedback. Has anybody here had any experience with Viasat?
With what?
Viasat. Viasat is an internet access that's being promoted by Mountain Electric. Promoted in as much as if you're interested in Viasat, which is basically satellite connection to your home, okay, you will get a discounted rate if you're a Mountain Electric customer. And they have various programs that go from like 6 megabits per second up to 50 megabits per second.
Is that what they pull over the power lines, the communication over the power lines?
It's via satellite. And
Well, that's like Hughes,
it's similar, but Viasat is apparently almost a worldwide company, and I'd never heard of it. And I've been working with some people, David Johnson and Dave Garner, and as a result of wanting to get some information from Mountain Electric, okay, Joe Thacker, who was the Mountain Electric general manager in Tennessee, brought this up to me. And I'd never heard of it, and I wondered if anybody had any experience or knew of someone that had Viasat and said, well, it's really great or it's not. So, okay, obviously it's something new, but
I had the Hughes satellite before I got cable. And, it's okay, but there's a lot of delay, the delay you have to the
well,
satellite.
Viasat is targeted specifically for rural America. Where you can't get it, it's kind of, this is better than nothing, and considering they can provide you up to 50 megabits per second. I don't know the prices, but, okay. Philip, before we adjourn, you want to show us?
I forgot to say this, so the community room is on track. I think they're gonna finish before they say the deadline is, but it is going up, and if you have time to run by there, just go and look at the construction. These pictures are old, we got sheetrock, so it's going great, and this will be a great game changer. So maybe COVID, if it did anything when it postponed our little meeting, maybe it's because we're gonna have it at this new, at the community center is the reason COVID came, so we couldn't have our workshop. We'll have our workshop up there, so.
Yeah, I've been up there. It's really come
It's going to
along.
be amazing, yes.
Okay.
And I hate we couldn't have a county fair, and I hate we can't do Woolly Worm, but there's next year, so.
Always next year. And next meeting is Tuesday, October 27th. It'll be here. Is
And
there-
thanks for the Tuesday thing, guys, 'cause they had another meeting last night.
Is there anything else that someone wants to bring up before we adjourn? Robert's Rules of Order says we don't have to have a motion to adjourn, and therefore, if there are no objections to closing the meeting, hearing no objections, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
I did think satellite, though, that's what